All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Wednesday, August 7th. We have a 17-game MLB slate to dive into in today's video. So we got a big one. Like we always do, we're going to go through each and every one of these games. I'm going to give you my lean on the side. I'll give you my lean on the total. We'll talk about any other plays, like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye on the pinned comment. If you want to fade me, all of my final plays will be listed in the pinned comment. Yesterday, we ended up going 3-1-1. Money-wise, it's more like a 2-1-1 night because we did split a unit for the Padres' first five run line as well as the Pirates' first five team total under. Both those cashed, but we had to sweat them out. And honestly, even the Tigers-Mariners, we had to absolute sweat out as well. The Orioles' money line, Grayson Rodriguez gets scratched, so that ends up getting voided. And then our Smurfy parlay does not come through. We were one game away from cashing that, which would have led to a nice little sweep. Now, we got a lot of questions in the comments, and I didn't know that people didn't really know that this existed, or at least I'm interpreting as people didn't know that it existed. But the reason that Orioles play gets voided is because you don't always have to just bet on the game just like this money line, right? Say we're looking at Diamondbacks and Guardians, and we like, the Diamondbacks today. You can head into the game, and honestly, you should do this a lot, especially when you are betting on this game because you like the pitching matchup. You head right over to game lines, and even FanDuel, I believe, makes this even easier. They put it up here in the bet slip a lot. But you scroll down on game lines, listed pitcher right here. You could say, okay, home team pitcher needs to start, away team pitcher needs to start, or both pitchers need to start. If you think there's a pitching discrepancy, I recommend both pitchers needing to start, and then, you take that, and guess what? If either one of those pitchers is ruled out, this play gets voided. So hopefully that's something that helps a few people. These little things that you can know about your sportsbook can definitely make a big difference in the long run. So yeah, hopefully that helps you guys. It's called listed pitcher. If you can't find it on your book, just Google, sportsbook and listed pitcher bets. But most of them have them out there. But let's keep going with today's video. Hopefully that helps you guys. In terms of the ride of the day, we do have a slight cash here. Now the odds get changed a little bit because that Yankees games gets moved, but Cincy and the Padres come through. So you know what? We'll give a nice little cha-ching here to my man Troy, but it didn't end up cashing for the plus 276 that he threw it in at there. But nonetheless, guys, if you don't know what the ride of the day is, it's simple. All you got to use is that hashtag ride of the day in the comments. Give me an absolute banger of a play, your favorite player prop, favorite parlay, your favorite game pick today, and I'll jump on board with one person's pick in the comments, and you get a shout out in the next video, win or loss. Troy will continue to ride with your play if you drop one by, I think we want to go probably 12 p.m. today, so noon Eastern time. If you don't get in, we'll have to ride with someone else, but make sure everyone gets those hashtag ride of the days in there. But Troy did go 2 for 3 in these money line plays, though the parlay odds get changed a little bit. Still, Cincy and the Padres got the job done. But let's go ahead and jump into today's video. Like I said, 17 games, but again, some of them are double headers, so we might not put as much time and effort into them as we normally do. But you know what? Let's cross that bridge when we get there. Jumping into Cleveland, taking on Arizona on the mound. We just looked at it on DK, right? We got Brandon Pfaadt going up against Ben Lively, and I just battled off a burp. It didn't come out. Like, I don't know what it was, what happens with adulthood, right? When you're a young kid, you can just burp and you're proud of it. When you get to being an adult, it's like, gotta hold it back, gotta hold it back. I think I saw a comedian talk about that once, but it's so true. Anyways, we got Cleveland taking on Arizona. Ben Lively on the mound going up against Brandon Pfaadt here. I still believe that this Arizona offense is just almost too good to be betting against when you get odds like this now. Yesterday, they got off to the races early, and then it kind of looked like they might lose the game, but they score 4 runs in the back half of that game. So good for them getting to a good Cleveland bullpen. But for me here, just like I've been saying, when you're going to get, Arizona around even odds, or today, minus 110, that offense has been so good. And though Cleveland's offense may be starting to pick it up a little bit last 5 games here, honestly, last like 6 or 7 games, they've been cruising. Still, Arizona has been doing it for a little bit longer. So I'll lean towards Arizona, kind of trusting Brandon Pfaadt in this spot. But this isn't my favorite spot overall because, again, if Cleveland's offense is going to get going and I'm betting on the Diamondbacks solely because of their offense, then it's like we don't have as much of an edge as we'd like to think we do, right? But that total's at 7.5 now. I think that there must be some strong wins or something like that, because to have these two pitchers on the mound, and then again, these offenses may be kicking into gear, I like the over here, and this is one where I would not go with, just to specify, not go with the listed pitcher bet, right? Because I'd already mentioned that I like the offense on both sides. I like the over. Like, if they throw in a worse pitcher or something like that, I don't want my bet to get voided. It might help the odds. So there's kind of a distinguishing factor when you're betting on it because of pitching. Listed pitcher bets are probably the move. When you're betting on it because of offense, you might want to roll the dice, and you might get some good closing line value. But nonetheless here, I feel like we're going to rant about that today, but I'll try and keep that to a minimum. We like Arizona as well as the over, but yeah, that over definitely is staring me in the eyes just due to the fact that both these offenses are looking good, and Arizona could carry this themselves. Cleveland kind of coming around the mountain when they come, though. All right, we got Chicago taking on Minnesota, and I feel like I got bullied into not taking the over yesterday. That was funny. I was like, it's so low. I had not seen that the winds had reached. We record early in the morning. I saw 15-mile-an-hour winds, and then all of a sudden I'm looking at like 35-mile-an-hour by game time in towards the plate, which I think we have that again today. But I was like, 6 runs? That's so low. We got to roll with it. 100% of the comments were like, no, that's dumb. You guys bullied me into not taking it. Realistically, I wasn't going to take it anyways. But nonetheless, we may have a little bit of a different story here today. Maybe not. We got Javier Assad on the mound going up against Joe Ryan. Joe Ryan at this price, I think, makes a little bit more sense than taking a flyer on the Cubs. Like, you are by far, in my opinion, getting the better pitcher and honestly what I'd say the better offense in a bounce back spot for minus 130 odds right now. The bullpens are pretty comparable as well. I'd probably take Minnesota's bullpen as of right now. Anyways, they're well rested for sure. I think only one guy went yesterday. Cubs only had a couple guys go, but even still, I'd still take Minnesota over them. So give me Minnesota here on the money line. Minus 130, minus 135 may be as far as I would go, but I like the idea of Joe Ryan going in there and throwing heat. Chicago still sitting right in the middle towards the back of the pack, bottom third of the pack, I would say, in terms of runs above average against the fastball, so we like to see that. And you're going to get a bunch of sinkers, sliders, fastball, cutters from Javier Assad, so he doesn't just throw the fastball, doesn't just throw the sinker. Like, a lot of pitches in this pitch mix, meaning Minnesota can mix it up because, as we know, or you should know, they haven't been the best against the speed pitches, right? But if we can get some changeups, we can get some sliders. That's where Minnesota capitalizes, and about 20% of his pitches are going to be those two combined. So decent spot to consider there. Now, this is another game with some wind. I think it's like 10 to 15 mile an hour blowing in, but I'd still lean towards the over. You do have a spot in which I think the Twins could put up like 4 or 5 themselves, and I'm not going to sit here and be like Joe Ryan's going to shut out the Cubs. So slight lean towards the over as well, but maybe again, just like yesterday with that 6 runs, am I looking at this going, oh, it's bait, I'm touching the boat, that might be the case. All right, guys, before we get to the rest of the slate, I wanted to talk to you about Sleeper. If you are not using the Sleeper Picks app yet, you are sleeping. I'm telling you guys, this app has more offerings, more lines. They even have alternate lines than most of the other apps out there. And what I love about Sleeper is that each and every one of their plays has its own unique payout multiplier. They don't just follow the fixed payout structure like a lot of other apps out there. And if you head over there and sign up for Sleeper today, they're going to give you this free square. It's Gavin Stone, 0.5 strikeouts, and you'll get your first deposit 100% matched. And what's great, on Wednesdays, they do a bunch of wildcard Wednesdays, meaning they discount multiple players each and every week. And it started as Wednesdays, but now they're doing it on Fridays and Sundays. This app discounts players all the time. Go and check out Sleeper, guys. If it's available in your state and you're not on Sleeper yet, seriously, wake up. Check out the link in the pinned comment. You'll get 100% of your first deposit matched. You'll get the free square and all of the discounted squares that they do in the future as well, including all the ones they do on Wednesdays. Trust me, guys, I use Sleeper each and every day. I think you should too. All right, we got Texas taking on Houston. Yusei Kikuchi making his second start for the Astros here. Jose Urena on the mound for Texas. Now, Houston's offense obviously been lacking. They do get the late win yesterday. In fact, Valdez was 1 out away from throwing a no-hitter. He walks a guy, and then Corey Seager pops one for a 2-run home run. So that is a tough way to blow a no-hitter, but it is what it is. They still got the win. If he's really a team guy, which I know he's kicking himself for a no-hitter miss there, his second no-hitter, but they still got the win. But nonetheless, in this spot here, I don't think that we have too much value on either side in this game. Like, I'd like, if Jose Urena's on the mound, to think about Texas at like plus 110 or plus 115 odds. And then with the way Houston's been batting, and Kikuchi, even though he looked really good in his first start, this is a spot in which, Texas actually hits the fastball okay, and he throws a ton of fastballs. They hit the changeup okay. Like, I don't really want to back him as much as I did, in his first start there, which, we liked him against. It was that against the Blue Jay? Or no, I forget who they were playing, but nonetheless, like this isn't as good of a spot for him. I still would lean Houston, but for minus 120 odds, I feel like we're paying a little bit too much for, you know, that risk worth versus reward type of idea. So I will lean to Houston here, but to me, it's not exactly the best spot overall. Like this is probably a game in which I say, yeah, I like Houston, but I'll pass in this one. So for minus 120 odds, I would play this probably up to minus 122. You know what I mean? And I think I've seen a couple minus 118s out there, so that's good. But this Houston offense is nothing that we can kind of like trust as of right now. Even yesterday getting a win, only 4 runs. Like this is supposed to be an offense built to score runs, and more than 4, I should say. Now, in terms of the total, I like the under here. Like I just said, I think that, you know, the Rangers could be able to touch up Kikuchi, and I think that, you know, Jose Urena isn't all that great, but still getting a 5-4 game here. We've seen 2 games really struggle to score. Like even game number 1 in this series went to extras, right? And it was a 4-3 game. Like these 2 offenses are not in their prime as of right now. So is this the game that they break out? Sure. If that's the reason that you want to take an over, then I'll give you that reason. But based on what we've seen in the trends of both of these teams, I'm going to go ahead and lean towards the under. In a nice little plus money player prop that I might consider in this one is actually going to be Yannier Diaz over 1.5 bases. Now you can look at his over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. I like that all the same here, but he's going up against Jose Urena, a right-handed pitcher. He's batting over 300 this season against righties with 300 plate appearances. Batting average of balls in play goes up as well. His extra base hit percentage does drop a little bit, which is, again, if you don't like the plus money, you want something a little bit more safe, you can pay the minus 130 for his over hits, runs, and RBIs, because his WRC plus does jump a little bit, but nonetheless, also batting average against Urena with right-handed batters jumps about 21 points, which you like to see. And Diaz likes to hit the sinker, likes to hit the slider, which are the 2 main pitches. I think that combines for like 75% of his pitch mix. So definitely a good spot for a nice little plus 115 plus money flyer. But again, when you're betting these plus money plays, you got to understand why they're plus money, right? Over 1.5 bases still is a tough thing to accomplish, but I like Yannier Diaz to do that today. Oakland taking on Chicago, the White Sox. I was so close. I said in yesterday's video that this is the game that the White Sox will win, and you're going to get a good payout for it, right? And I literally had it in the bet slip on multiple books because the odds kept changing throughout the day, and I was like, just do it. And I was like, no, because why would that be worth it, right? Well, it ends up being worth it, and I saw a lot of people cash it in the comments, so you know what? Shout out to you guys. I don't necessarily like the idea of backing Chicago again today. They won 6-1. They probably celebrated in their locker room like they had just won the World Series. But today, I don't know if it's going to be as great. They have Davis Martin on the mound going up against Joey Estes. He's been okay at home. Oakland's got the better bullpen, got the better offense. I just won't touch minus 200 odds for Oakland, but I don't know if Chicago pulls it out 2 games in a row. And the thing is, like, now you're getting what, minus 170 odds? Like, I liked this probably around plus 170 odds. I liked this for like plus 190 yesterday. Now I don't know if like I like the idea that the odds are going down for them, right? So especially with even a worse pitcher on the mound. So I'll lean Oakland, but it'll be some sort of a money line parlay. Just given the fact that I think that, you know, they bucked the trend yesterday, Chicago did. I don't think they do that 2 games in a row, but you know what? Maybe there's some psychos out there that are rolling with it. There was a lot in the comments yesterday. In terms of the total, I actually would consider taking a peek at Oakland's team total over, because they scored, 1 run yesterday, and you can get them probably for like over 3.5, over 4.5 today for over 4.5. If it's not plus money, I wouldn't touch it, but we don't have those lines out just yet. But I would lean in that direction. I think that they could score some runs. Full game over, I don't know. Like this is probably like a 5-3 game today, which means Oakland scored a lot of runs, but Chicago returned back to form. So I'll lean towards Oakland team total over and not touch that full game over. All right, we got the Yankees taking on the Angels. This is the game that was, I believe, supposed to... No, this is the game that was supposed to happen yesterday. So this is a doubleheader. I should have mentioned that about Arizona and Cleveland as well. My theory on doubleheaders, and you know what? Call me crazy, but it's worked for me, right? I only like to bet the first leg of a doubleheader because I think that, you know, there's so many... nothing's happened yet. I know a lot of people like to say, well, betting the second leg may be easier because you know what happened in game 1, but that gives you like a couple hours span to really cram what you like in there, right? So I like treating these first legs of doubleheaders just like any other game, and then a little bit less importance to the second leg of the game. Or strategy number 2 is just rolling with the plus money team in both games, as long as it's the same team, because it's hard to beat a team 2 times in a row, never mind twice in the same day. So in this spot, I don't necessarily like the Angels' chances for either one of these games, so it's probably still a Yankees lean for me, or a Yankees spot for me overall, but because it's a doubleheader, I don't like it as much, and we'll definitely want to keep an eye on the weather, because I imagine if this game got called so quick yesterday, it's probably still pretty damn crappy in New York. So even though I like the Yankees to be able to score runs or get to Davis Daniel, if it's that crazy of weather, this is probably just a stay away spot overall. But with that still being kind of undecided, if we're talking like 50% chance of rain and sub 10-mile-an-hour winds, like yesterday obviously was worse, but if we're looking at that, I don't mind the Yankees team total over and the Yankees first game in some sort of a parlay here. All right, Cleveland, Arizona, like I mentioned, we, if anything, probably like the first game here. Now, this is the game that was scheduled to happen yesterday, and Carrasco's on the mound. I still don't mind Arizona's team total over, but even with this, keeping in mind, too, like, if this game is anything like the first game or anything like we're not going to get the best value. We're not going to get the best odds. And if you like Arizona for the offense, what are you saying that, Ben Lively's going to absolutely shut them down? It's probably still worth considering them in the first game over the second game in general, especially if you're liking them to score a lot of runs. What if they score 10 in the first game? You think they're going to go out there and score 5 in the next? Probably not. So we don't really pay attention to the second game all that much unless we find some value along the way. But keep an eye on the pin comment. Nothing major in game number 2 of this doubleheader. I'd still like Arizona in the over, but I'd rather play that in the first game because it's the first game of the day and guys should be ready to go. Hopefully that makes sense, you guys. I know I can ramble on and sound like a dummy sometimes, but again, like when you have 2 teams playing each other twice, I like the idea of the first time they play each other, they're going to treat it like it's the first time they're playing each other, because it is. If it's the second time, you can get guys being like, we're playing each other again, here we go again. Unless the lineups change and clearly the team's like stacked in game number 2, that's when they're going to care about. That's obviously something to pay attention to. But yeah, let me know in the comments if you agree with that doubleheader strategy. It's, again, treating that first game like the only game in a sense, because I don't like the idea of them already knowing what happened, being fatigued, or basing their game off of something that already happened that day. I don't like that. All right, Pittsburgh taking on San Diego. Now, we got lucky here. We've talked about the listed pitcher bets and everything like that, right? Well, this game goes 2 innings and then gets postponed, and then the starters come out yesterday. So we had, Dylan Cease, right? Yeah, we bet on the Padres, took the listed pitcher bet. He pitches 2 innings scoreless, and then he comes out. So I was like, we sweated that one out. We got kind of lucky there. And then we had to sweat out the game in general. It was 0-0 heading into the top of the 5th. So got a little lucky here. In terms of what we like in this spot, I really am not going to deter from what I saw yesterday. I like the Padres offense, and I don't think this Pirates offense keeps it going. Now, Michael King is on the mound here for the Padres. Has he been a little bit shaky at times on the road? Yes, but nothing that would kind of make me shake in my boots when looking at this Pirates offense. They haven't been all that great against right-handed pitchers. He's going to throw a pretty even 4-pitch pitch mix: fastball, sinker, slider, changeup. Pittsburgh 24th against the fastball, good against the sinker, 6th, 22nd against the slider, and then 26th against the changeup. So 75% of his pitch mix they should struggle against a little bit here. So I like those odds. I like the spot for them. The problem is, are we going to be able to like this price tag at minus 152? Is there potential value now that the line's moving and you get plus 140 for the Pirates? Not exactly sure, but in this spot, probably going to run back what we did yesterday, which is San Diego minus the 0.5 in the first 5. I won't be touching Pittsburgh team total because this is not Dylan Cease on the mound for San Diego, but overall, like, the San Diego offense is, at least against left-handed pitchers last 30 days, good to above average. I like the spot. He's going to throw a ton of cutters. This is Marco Gonzalez actually on the mound for Pittsburgh. I don't think I've mentioned that yet. Excuse me, apologies. But he's going to throw a ton of cutters, and San Diego 8th right now in the last 30 days against the cutter per 100 cutters they've seen. So I like their odds to score a decent amount of runs here. Let's just hope that Michael King can go out there and be the Michael King that we've seen be absolutely, I think he has allowed 1 run in each of his last 5 starts. So hopefully he's going to be still kicking. But again, he's had some spots this season where it's head scratching. Let's just hope that this is not one of them. Total wise, I'd probably can consider or think about Padres team total over. Again, this Pirates offense does not really, scream bet on me to me. And for over 3.5 for -157 on Caesars, over 4.5 for +100 on Facebook, on FanDuel, those could be considerations for the Padres today because, again, I don't see any reasons why they shouldn't be able to score against Marco Gonzalez or even the bullpen for that matter. All right, we got Miami taking on Cincinnati. Valente Bayozo on the mound against Andrew Abbott here. Cincinnati getting the win yesterday, but Andrew Abbott hasn't been all that great. So honestly, the way that I would consider this, if you think that this is an under game, I do think that there's a chance that Miami could be the play. A chance. If you think this is going to go over, I don't mind taking a shot on Cincinnati to kind of continue to score a lot of runs against this team. Bayozo is not like doesn't have the biggest of track record here, right? 3 starts this season, but 2.3 ERA in his starts. I think he's got like a 4+ overall. Andrew Abbott though has been just super inconsistent. He has 2 games with his last 5 that he has allowed 0 earned runs, but then he has 2 that he's allowed 4 or more in less than 4 innings of work. So it's like kind of head scratching there. But what I would say is, again, if you think this is an under, I like Miami because I don't think their offense is going to be able to keep up with a game that isn't over. To me, kind of comes down to what I said yesterday now. Do I like the price tag for Cincinnati here? Hell no. That's why I'm saying I could see a lane to Miami today. But Bayozo's going to throw a bunch of fastballs, 45% fastballs. Just like I said yesterday, if you have a pitcher that's just going to hum fastballs at the Cincinnati Reds, it's one of the only pitches that they hit, and they hit well. Last 30 days, first in runs above average there. So give me Cincinnati. I don't know if I play it due to the fact that we have, a -140 price tag there, but maybe you could consider them team total over if you like it, but you're probably even getting a pretty juiced play there. Over 3.5 is -180. So pretty damn juiced. I'd also consider the over because, again, I think if you're just going to give fastballs down the middle here to the Reds, they may be able to put up a big number. All right, we get the Nats taking on the Giants. This is a simple one here, and you guys might, roast me in the comments for this thought process, but immediately what I said to myself was, okay, well, 1, you have Jake Irvin on the mound. That's a good thing for Washington, right? 2, you have Blake Snell on the mound, who just threw a no-hitter, and you're giving me the other team at home for +140. Washington is a serious consideration for me today to take on the money line. Maybe like a half unit, something like that. But Blake Snell is going to get a lot of love after that no-hitter, which he's been pitching well, obviously, right? But Washington, with their best pitcher on the mound at home for a +140 price tag, I think I have to consider it. So I'm going to go there. I'll lean towards the under because, again, it kind of works both ways. If Blake Snell is electric, then great. I still trust Jake Irvin in this spot against the San Francisco team that's, middle of the pack or lower when it comes to batting against right-handed pitchers over the last 30 days. And we know he's going to throw a bunch of fastballs. San Francisco ranked 18th right now when it comes to the fastball in terms of runs above average. He's going to throw a ton of cutters as well, 22nd there. So I like the spot. And then Blake Snell is pretty much going to throw fastballs, right? He obviously has the nasty slider and the change, but his main pitch, if he's grooving and going, he's going to throw a mean, located, fast fastball. Washington, 11th best this in the last 30 days here in runs above average against fastball. So if they can get to him, then maybe we have a little bit of chance there. And again, I wouldn't take this if it was -110 or anything like that, but for +140, something to consider today. In terms of total, like I said, an under as well, because if both pitchers can pitch well, then I like our +140 chances because there's less ground to make up if the Giants were not going off against Irvin. All right, Toronto taking on Baltimore. You have Trevor Rogers on the mound going up against Bowden Francis, I believe, is the listed starter here. So kind of a couple wild cards for pitchers. This total's at 9.5, and I'd probably lean in that direction. Just 1, knowing Trevor Rogers, and then 2, even Bowden Francis is a guy that I wouldn't necessarily trust to go out there and shut down, right? So first lean towards the over here. Now, in terms of pitching, I might consider like Bowden Francis to have at least he's looked, I don't even know if I can say better, but Trevor Rogers, his first start with Baltimore gets kind of rocked up, right? 5 earned runs through, I don't even remember how many innings he pitched, like maybe just got into the 5th inning, 4 innings in the 3rd, if I were to guess, that type of thing, with a 10.4 ERA. The whip was over 2. Like, I'm not going to trust the guy if he hasn't been able to go out there and show it with his new team yet. So yeah, I'd probably end up saying, you know what? screw him. I'm not going to trust him. I'm going to lean in the opposite direction. I believe they would they end up scoring. I think they lost like 10-3 in that game too. So if Baltimore doesn't come with the run support, which they didn't score a bunch yesterday, and I thought they would, then yeah, for plus money, give me Toronto plus 130 in this spot. Now again, both of these last two games, and even when I kind of mentioned the path to the Miami Marlins, like you got to understand that when you're looking at that plus money, that's where the value is. Like if you think that this game should be closer to plus 120, then the plus 130 looks okay, right? But if you're sitting there doing your own analysis and you're saying, no, it makes sense that Toronto is plus 130, then yeah, they would make a path to get to the Orioles because you're finding things that I'm not seeing or someone else isn't seeing, that type of a thing. So give me the over as well as Toronto, but I don't think I touch this game, and I'm just kind of giving you guys the warning there. Atlanta taking on Milwaukee. Remember yesterday when I was like, you know what, this could be a spot where Milwaukee's offense bounces back. I did not think that they'd go out there and score double digits and win 10-0. Like, I didn't bet it myself. I wasn't that confident in it, but look at that, a 10-0 win yesterday. In terms of what we're looking at today, we have Chris Sale slated to start going up against Freddie Peralta. Milwaukee's offense against lefties has been a lot. I mean, you know, numbers yesterday's just offense overall might skew it, but now they're going up against the lefty. They've been decent against the lefties last 30 days, but Chris Sale's still been very, very electric. So I'm actually going to back the Atlanta Braves here in this spot, looking at them on the first 5 run line or money line, depending on what you like better for odds here. In terms of what these two pitchers have done against the teams in general, they've been great. So we'll start with Freddie Peralta. 98 plate appearances against the current guys on this Braves team, a 214 batting average against, a K rate of 29.6, an expected WOBA here of 318. Chris Sale, 62 plate appearances against the current Brewers roster, a 34% K rate, an expected batting average against of 171, and an expected WOBA of 207. So I like the under in this spot as well. I think this is like a 4-3 game. Atlanta wins it, so I'd also lean towards that. But you know, overall, it's you can make an argument either way. Like the fact that you're getting Peralta, who's been good against this Braves team, and their offense should be better today, for plus 140-ish odds, totally get that if you're there. But I'm trusting Chris Sale and how good he has been. Now he's had, you know, the couple last starts that looked worse than he's been. That's because he's been so good. You know what I mean? Like, and I think his last start or his second to last start was against Milwaukee, in which was one of those, oh, he didn't look all that great, right? Like a couple runs early on. Atlanta still wins 6-2. He pitches nearly 6 innings. It's like, you know, you got to remember that Chris Sale, you know, is a bounce back type of guy. He could let one up in the first inning, and he's almost going to have like a vengeance for the rest of the game type of thing. So I like him in this spot against the Brewers, and they've seen each other recently as well. All right, Yankees and the Angels. This is game number 2 of the doubleheader here, and this one looks like Will Warren against Carson Fulmer. Honestly, I really have not much interest in betting on either one of these guys. Probably would still kind of stay consistent with what I said about the first game, that I like the Yankees to probably be able to score and get to Fulmer and that type of thing. But again, we got to keep an eye on the weather. So everything I said about the first game stands here, but everything I said about betting doubleheaders in today's video also stands. All right, St. Louis taking on Tampa Bay. This is definitely an interesting one here. We have Eric Fedde on the mound for St. Louis, who didn't look tremendous in his first St. Louis start. He's been good at home this season, but that was with a different team. You know what I mean? Like, this is a different stadium that he's home at now. So take that with a grain of salt when you see his home numbers. Taj Bradley on the bump here for Tampa Bay. And this is not Taj Bradley at home. This is also the Tampa Bay Rays going up against a right-handed pitcher. They crush lefties, not righties, so that's worth considering. So I think in this spot, I'm going to give the rock to Fedde and say, go out there and do your thing. But honestly, my main play in this one may be a Nerfy. Like, I love both of these guys to go out there and pitch at least 3 batters worth, or, you know, 4 batters worth, 1 gets on base, of good baseball, and then saying, okay, we'll roll the dice with what happens after that. So I like the under. I like the Nerfy. I would lean St. Louis just because I believe they have somewhat of a better offense, and I'm going to trust Fedde and that bullpen over Taj Bradley on the road in the Tampa Bay bullpen. But the Nerfy probably actually my main play in this game. So we have been good at Nerfies. We haven't been great. If you guys remember in July, we were like 16-4. I mean, I'm making those numbers up, but they were pretty damn close to that. In Nerfies, we're more like, I want to run the numbers, but like 10-6 in Nerfies so far in this month. So still good, but we were great. So let's try and get back to great, and maybe this is the Nerfy to do it. All right, Kansas City taking on Boston. We got Cole Reagans going up against Cutter Crawford. If you're gonna give me a price that looks just like this, I don't really know what's wrong with considering the Red Sox at plus 125. Like, the reason that I would probably say, hey, I get why you wouldn't want to bet this, is the idea of the Red Sox, yesterday winning game number 1, and now you have game number 3 here in a chance for a 3-game sweep in which they scored a bunch of runs. Like, if that's the reason you don't want to take the Red Sox, I give that a little bit of validity, because again, I don't like betting sweeps either, but based on what we've seen, as long as it's somewhere where the Red Sox can go out there and hit up, which I do think they can hit up Reagan's, even though they've been worse against lefties than righties, their lefty numbers are kind of coming around, so I don't mind it. And honestly, the main thing that I'm looking at here is Reagan's is going to throw a fastball and cutter to make up, I believe, 50% of his pitch arsenal. Red Sox second in the league last 30 days against both those pitches, and then he also mixes in a slider, which the Red Sox are the 4th best in the league and runs above average per 100 pitches seen there too. So it might be worth it, but all that being said, like I said, I give you kind of a, you're just if you don't want to bet on the sweep. But if you look at that price tag, minus 148 for Kansas City, that has a comparable pitcher, definitely a comparable offense. Like, you're doing a lot of comparables to pay nearly minus 150, right? So that's when the price may get involved. Now, if you want to say, hey, let's bet it and forget it and have a good time here, then maybe consider the over, because both these offenses have been good. And even when pitching has looked good during this series, like James Paxton, Singer, that looked okay until it didn't. 9-5 in that one, 6-5 yesterday. Even if the pitchers look okay at any moment, both these teams are ticking time bombs offensively. So I do think that an over could be in play as well. All right, Colorado taking on the Mets. If you made it this far into the video, guys, go ahead and comment 30. We're pretty much 30 minutes into the video, and by the time we're done with this game, we definitely will be here. So appreciate everyone. We got a bunch of people commenting yesterday, what does 25 mean? And I'm sitting there like an evil villain, like, because if you know, you know, right? But let's get into this game here. On the mound, we got Paul Blackburn for the Mets going up against Ryan Feltner here. This is a Mets team that honestly is kind of puzzling me as of late. They've lost 6 of the last 10. Colorado has also lost 6 of the last 10, but I mean, that kind of makes sense. If you want to, make it look good, they've won 4 of their last 5 or 4 of the last 6, which is really good. Those are only 4 wins in the last 10 games, so that's kind of painting a picture with a glass half full approach. But to me, the Mets probably bounce back here. I just don't necessarily know if I like the idea of paying, minus 150. I know we've talked a lot of price today, but kind of a weird slate in terms of lines. So I'll lean Mets. I don't know if we get there. Now, the total is sitting at 11.5. We've seen a 10-2 game and a 6-3 game. I'm going to lean towards the under, because both games so far, or at least in one game, sorry, that was the 10-2 was Colorado's last game. Colorado, scratch that one, but the Mets offense overall would be the spot in which I like the under here, because even if they go out there and score, I don't think Colorado does score. I don't think both teams kind of participate in the fun today, if that makes sense. So I'll lean towards the under. We're fading the altitude, but excuse me, I believe that 10. I have in my notes last 2 games for Colorado, but I don't think that other game was against the Mets. So you know what? That was we sounded the dummy alarm on myself. All right, Seattle taking on Detroit. We got Tariq Skubal going up against George Kirby here. This should be an obvious sort of pitching masterclass in a sense. I like the under, even though yesterday I said 2 good pitchers on the mound with Chicago and Chicago and the Twins, right? But this is a little bit different. I like both these guys a lot more there, so I'm gonna lean under right away. But I think the obvious move is the Nerfy, right? I mean, you're probably paying out the wazoo for it, so maybe this is something that we consider in a Smurfy parlay, which, by the way, the Smurfy parlay, we always get questions, what is it? We made it up, all right? It's called some runs in the first inning, meaning under 1.5 runs in the first inning. You could put it in a parlay, and that way you can have a little bit of like leeway, you know what I mean? But right now, minus 160 odds on FanDuel for this one. Maybe there's an MGM boost to get plus 33%, because I like this one, but I also like the first 5 under a hell of a lot here as well. Kind of self-explanatory, right? You're looking at 2 of the best pitchers either one of these teams has to offer, and then hell, 2 of the best better pitchers in the league. Tariq Skubal definitely of that class, but I think I want to say under 4 right now. It's probably like minus 180, so maybe that's a little bit too much. In terms of what I'd go for, just in terms of, pulling the trigger on a money line, maybe having some action on this game, would be considering Detroit here. Again, we kind of have cashed this a couple times this year, but Detroit gets in these bad spots, and it's like, yeah, they're playing a team that probably should win. But you have Tariq Skubal on the mound, and you're giving me plus 115 odds. Like, I don't necessarily want to miss that opportunity. So maybe it's Detroit on the money line. Maybe it's Detroit first 5 money line. As long as we can get plus money out of it, I'll be okay even if it loses, because you gave me Tariq Skubal for plus money. You know what I mean? Like, that's the way that I kind of rationalize and think about it. So Detroit and the under, and then a nerfy, but we got to get the nerfy early, because I bet this is going to go through the moon. And then it'll probably be like 6-4 at the end of the first inning. That's probably what will happen. All right, deep breath. We've made it to the last game of the day. We got the Dodgers taking on the Phillies. That is the game in which the sleeper square. So make sure to check out that sleeper square to get all those good perks that we talked about, as well as the Gavin Stone promo square there. But in this spot, you have Tyler Phillips going up against Gavin Stone. So not necessarily the best that either team has to offer. Now, Gavin Stone's obviously been good at times. He's struggled at times. But, you know, as of late, he's been really, really shaky. Whereas Tyler Phillips was looking good until he played Seattle, pitched a 1 2/3 and let up 8 runs and 3 home runs. So it's like, all right, which Tyler Phillips are we going to get today? I don't really care, because either way, I like the offensive splits here. Philadelphia has been pretty bad offensively, definitely against righties. Their lefties, they looked a little bit better. We kind of saw that yesterday, right? Kershaw only goes like, 4 1/3 or something like that. Sanchez pitches 6. But today you have a righty on the mound. Though I don't really love Gavin Stone, I think that Philadelphia needs a lot of improvement against righties as of right now. And the Dodgers could be in a bounce back spot. So for minus 140, it's pretty pricey, but they have the better bullpen. I like the Dodgers on the money line. And we really haven't seen either one of these games so far look like both teams kind of contributed and exploded. So maybe that's the type of game today. I'll lean towards the over as well. We've seen a 5-3 game, a 6-2 game, and the total went from 7.5 to 8.5, now to 9. So the books think a lot of runs are going to come in this one as well. But guys, it's going to wrap it up for today's show. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, you know what to do. Hit that like button. Click it, and then click it again. Hit that subscribe button as well. Appreciate everyone and all the love as of late. These baseball videos are a grind, but you know what? Even when we're on vacation or we're at home or we're busy, like, want to get them out to you guys, because I think the community we're building here is literally like second to none. So appreciate all the love, appreciate all the support, even the guppies. I appreciate you. Catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.